howdy, hey everyone! Welcome to the very 5th episode of Very Special Guest. We're back in my room. We're not in the studio this time because we kind of do the vice versas for odds and evens at this point. Half the time in the digital world, half the time in the physical world. But so this week we have a guest, and guest, who are you?
I'm David. I'm David. I messed up already. This is gonna go great. My name is Daniel Goldhorn, and I'm a YouTube movie critic, and for like real work, I do. I'm a manager for a hotel in upstate New York.
That's exciting. New York's New York's an interesting place. I worked there over my last summer, and I'm working there again this next summer in Rock Hill, if you know where that is.
Rock Hill. I don't know where that is.
It's kind of the middle of hecking nowhere, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, so I'm from Maine, and now I'm based in Vermont. And so, like, New York as a state seems like such an expansive void. Like,
yeah,
there's the city, like, and then there's not much else.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I grew up in Arizona myself, and you want void. Oh, there's so much void there.
Isn't that a burning void in Arizona where, like, the sun never sets or something? Yeah. I've seen, like, an Odd Ones Out and Jaden Animations video where they collabed and talked about Arizona and how hot it is. And that's colored my perception of the state.
I'll just say that winter for us is like 60 degrees. We're like, oh, it's 60 degrees. It's so cold out. We need our jacket.
That's hilarious. I love that because, like, 60 degrees is a warm day like in any season for where I'm from. It's like today it's 41 degrees, and that's relatively warm for like New England. New England's weird, you know.
I know. It's just like it's so wild up here.
Yeah.
So I just kind of sat here, and like I said, I do YouTube reviews. I've done YouTube off and on since 2009. Had a couple different channels, but with this new one, I started it in 2020 because I didn't have anything better to do in the middle of the pandemic.
What are you talking about? There's so much to do in a pandemic. You kidding me?
I know, like, I can
sit inside and think about decisions.
I can sit on my chair, I can sit on the sofa, I can sit on the bed. The possibilities are endless.
Exactly. But go on.
So like I started it up, and you know, kind of like when I started, I wasn't quite sure what direction I wanted to go in, so I did a few different things. But I've kind of settled now into doing kind of like more in-depth but less frequent reviews. Like, there's some movie review channels where they talk about every movie that comes out. I tried to do that, and I just got bogged down because the way I make videos, by the time I made one, like a quick one that I was happy with, it was already time to do the next one. Yeah. And you know, it's like, especially with how I do things, obviously I have my little, I think the term is the PNG tuber. Is something I saw recently.
I always just think of it as called an avatar. Like, people call them PNG tubers. That's a weird terminology in my mind. It's like, I don't know. It's like I think PNG tubers have been actually like pretty normal on YouTube for like a while at this point.
That's true. You know, because like you've got you got like all kinds of other critics out there, like, and even not just critics. So it's just like other YouTubers that use PNGs. Stuff like, you know, Odd Ones Out is a big one. You mentioned, you know.
Yeah, or I think even farther back, like, I Hate Everything technically would have counted as like that if we're using that avatar / PNG tuber thing, because like, I don't know if you ever watched his stuff, but like, I spent a solid amount of time watching like every release of his.
And yeah, it's like, definitely, like, I watched all of his stuff. I thought his stuff was really fun. It's kind of interesting to see him because I remember when he was just in that like beginning phase where like he would talk about movies a little bit, but he'll also make videos about like, what grinds my gears. Now it seems to have
Yeah.
transitioned like more towards just movies. Though I don't think he's uploaded in a while, unfortunately.
I don't think so too. There's a lot of major creators who like take a lot of time between uploads. Like one of my personal favorite creators is, have you ever watched Frederick Knudsen or Down the Rabbit Hole?
I have not actually.
So I'd recommend that channel a lot. He does these like in-depth video essays that have been like hours long, but it like takes, or it's like not even a video essay. It's more of a documentary that he makes, and it's insane.
Ooh. Yeah, it's like I like that kind of like, that's the thing about the platform that I think is so interesting, because like, obviously there's a lot of and the time I've been here, like I remember YouTube before they even had a copyright system.
Oh my
It was just,
gosh.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, the Wild West.
It was the Wild West. Like I remember we had the star system. There's no likes or dislikes. You had 5 stars. You had what was it, like video responses, and that's
That
how a
was
lot
a
of contests.
thing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like did you know about that?
No, I knew about it, but just like rethinking about that is like crazy.
Yeah,
Like
it's just
so
like
to put this in perspective, I'm like a college sophomore right now. So I'm like
oh,
older Gen Z. Um
right. It's like, yeah. So like for me, I'm kind of like right on like the edge there of like still millennial.
yeah.
Like the definitions kind of switch between like, oh, you like Gen Z, millennial, but like I grew up without the internet.
Ah, you're one
It's
of
like,
those people.
yeah, it's like I like I wasn't allowed to go on the internet. Also we had dial up for internet, so I wouldn't have been able to do anything anyways. um
Oh
but
gosh.
but
The
when I
old
was 13,
world. Oh, you go. Sorry.
yeah, I was gonna say, when I was 13, finally got Wi-Fi, and I was allowed to like go onto the internet. So it's like, so I was kind of like in between those two things. I'm the bridge between, yeah, I will unite our two peoples, like Superman or something. How did that movie go?
Yeah, no, which is so interesting to think about, because like the internet for me, like growing up, right? I remember back when I was like 10 and stuff, watching like one of the first YouTubers that I firmly remember being into and stuff was Tobuscus and stuff. That was like part of my when I was like 10 in that classic age. I watched the Annoying Orange videos live as they were coming out, and the TV show of that, because I was child then. Um
Oh my god, yeah.
dude, the
Like
internet's such a wild place.
I know. It's like I actually I don't know if it's appropriate to say I knew him, because we only left like one comment each on each other's channels. But Dane Bodegheimer, who made Annoying Orange, he commented on my channel once. Like, and this was like, he was like kind of like he was like a big YouTuber, but he hadn't like found that hyper success with Annoying Orange yet.
Yeah, that's
Um,
cool.
yeah, but it's like, it was just like those kinds of like different times when like things are smaller, like the biggest, I started up when Fred was still the biggest thing on YouTube.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So it's like, and it was but to kind of come back to the point I was
Yeah.
trying to make, because obviously YouTube now is very different. It's cleaned up, so to say. Put on a suit and a tie. Now you have, big companies are not just are like kind of like the backbone now of
Right.
everything. Um you got you got the copyright systems. You have like more stringent guidelines of what you can and can't monetize. So, and obviously that it's kind of lost a lot of what YouTube had in the first place, but at the same time, I feel like it's still one of the best ways to get out there, to get your voice heard. It has the lowest barrier to entry out of any other platform, like television, radio, things like
Oh
that.
yeah. I Well, it's so easy because for a lot of content and stuff, because first of all, the thing that's so impressive I think about YouTube is like every single creator is doing their own thing, um, which is just impressive because like there's so many styles that are just like entering into one like little mix, and
Right.
within that though, like how long does it take you to usually like make your videos? Because like for me, when it comes to videos, I either expedite something or I try to get it to or I take like forever trying to edit something to like with the Shrek video it took me like 2 weeks, and then I was like, heck it, I'm just gonna use Slime Rancher footage because yeah.
Yeah, it's like for me, well, first of all, before I lay out the schedule, I have to iterate that I work 50 hours a week.
That's impressive. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, so like well, I mean, I mean, like
Is
I
that
work at
legal?
like my degree is in actually in like labor law, like employment law, like human resources, that kind of a thing.
Oh,
You'd be
cool.
surprised what's legal in the United States.
I bet.
It's either like if you can think of something and you think to yourself, is that legal? It's either A, it's legal, or B, the law against it is so flimsy that there's no point in trying to enforce it. But
It's
but I do. But what's nice that I do get yeah, because like, well, first of all, I'm salaried, and there's not really overtime rules for salary, but I do really like my job.
that's good.
Um, the guy I work for, he's a real swell guy. He's real cool. Our team is real great. And it's nice working for like a smaller like boutique operation rather than a massive multinational conglomerate.
AKA what the entirety of the film industry is.
Exactly. And so it's kind of nice doing that. But
Yeah.
it does take away a lot of time. And yet at the same time, it also kind of helps me because that means that what little time I do have, I prioritize more. I
Hmm.
found that if I don't have things going on, then it just kind of languish. I'm like, oh, I'll get to this later. I'll get to it later.
Yeah.
I'll get to it later. If it's, oh, I have to be back at the desk in 1 hour, then I actually get stuff done.
I I feel like with YouTube or I feel like with like life, doing projects is always better than doing like nothing for a time. Like I'm the same way where it's like I can like chill and like play games or just relax for a little bit of time, but only for like an hour or two at a time before I start incessantly like texting all my friends like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Or like trying to work on some kind of a project because it's kind of a weird state that we love work so much as like people.
Right. It's like I feel like, we are always striving for that kind of like self-actualization of wanting to do something, and doing something that can bring us like joy or fulfillment.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's kind of like what it is with YouTube, is that I can't not do YouTube. I've tried. For like Lord knows I've tried, but I can't.
Yeah, no, it's I had a solid stretch where like so my history online's been like my first channel that I had was back in 2012, right? I wasn't even I was 10 at the time, right? Because that was a thing that happened. Um and I made a channel called Entertainment Lord, which its only place in the only place that my channels have had in YouTube history is by by the career of the creator that I there was a creator that and I'm not gonna mention it on the them by name on the podcast, but there was a creator who made videos on me who's blown up to like 300,000 subscribers right now. And I was the first person they made a video on, but like my older channels, it was just me being this little lad in middle school doing cartoon reviews of Steven Universe and Gravity Falls, and it was quite the time.
Oh goodness. Steven Universe Gravity Falls, that takes me back.
So it was aggressively like 2010s, like mid 2010s too, and it's quite hilarious. Like the eventual, like I did, I'm currently on my third like channel where I've been producing stuff for, and this channel is easily the best content that I've ever made.
Yeah, it's like
Finally,
that
with the new
definitely is like, it's one of the things like, as you learn more stuff, like you kind of you get better, you get better. And yeah, it's like that's good. They kind of like you're seeing that growth in yourself.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of those things. How many channels have you like done so far?
Let's see. So my first one, like I said, it started about 2009. I did a couple different things with that. Because like the first time, like when I first started it, I was also like a teenager and I didn't know
Yeah.
what to do with it, so just uploaded like random stuff.
Yeah.
And then eventually got into like some like meme stuff. But I kind of put that aside by 2016. Um, and then I tried to do actually a different movie review channel, which didn't really get off the ground, mostly because I didn't have good equipment and I was working a different job then that was not a great job.
Yay!
uh,
Bad jobs.
yeah, I know. It was so bad. Long story short, I was doing human resources for a tech company in Florida.
Oh no, Florida.
Yeah, like first of all, that was actually like half the problem there because I don't have a car.
Yeah.
And up here where I am, you can get by very well without a car. There's good public transportation. It's very walkable. In
Yeah.
Florida, they just explicitly build things to not be accessible by foot. So, and there's no public transportation. There's one bus that takes me to like somewhere else in the suburb that doesn't even go into the main part of town, and it comes every hour.
We love
It,
that Florida lifestyle so much.
yeah, it was like, and then also just like the guy running the department was really bad, and I'm not just saying that as like a disgruntled former employee. Like the CEO intervened to push him out of the company. He was very very bad. So that I was like, I don't think corporate life is for me. I don't think this is what I want to do in my life.
Honestly, corporations are just also like so scary, and there's like hardly anyone like like corporations. I feel like they just do ridiculous things like all the time, where it's like, hey, you guys didn't have to do. You guys didn't have to be that vile towards your employees. Like
Right, it's like
human decency, guys.
right, exactly. And like that's the thing. Is like when you're when you're doing stuff like that, you can kind of see, even if you are trying to do good, and I was like trying to do some modicum of good where I could. In the end, it's just, this kind of like capital is power, and people don't wield that power in good ways.
And it's unfortunate because that's like not even just at one specific place. That's like everywhere in industries, because like even past like corporate jobs, like the film industry is a mess. Thank you, Disney. Very cool of you to support those bad legislations in Florida.
Right, I was like,
Sarcasm. Yeah.
yeah,
Sarcasm, of
exactly.
course, but like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like, and like that's the kind of thing is like, because I know that now people are like, oh, Disney like decided to change their mind on that, but that it's like in a couple years, once this all blows over, they're just going to go back to doing the same
When
thing.
you put harmful rhetoric out there now, and like the whole thing is, one of my things with the entertainment industry, right, is I'm not nearly as much for I'm not for the most part, I'm not for boycotting things from like a company and stuff, because it's not gonna, because that's one person doing it, and like within the field of like media criticism and like trying to learn for this industry, you need to find as many like sources as possible. I think Disney really needs to, though, like reevaluate themselves. So, honestly, we just need to have a film industry reevaluation. No more monopolies, you know?
Right. It's like, and that's exactly the kind of thing is because I think that concentrating this kind of power is, not just, bad for the people working at these companies, but also it's bad for our culture as a whole. And I feel like, another thing that we have to do is that, because there's something like, if Disney, if they really want to keep throwing money at these like legislators because they want to keep their special self-government in
Right.
Orlando, like, when it comes down to it, the role of a corporation is just to make money.
Yeah, and
You know,
it's
and I think,
unfortunate.
yeah, and when they try to hold themselves up as this kind of like moral vanguard, then they, that they always inevitably fall short.
Right.
It's, and I think that's something that's very important for people to remember, is that, the, corporation isn't evil for wanting to make money. It's just what they do.
Right.
Which means that we therefore shouldn't expect them to do anything good, and therefore we should have other things competing there to make sure that their abuses are held in check.
Well, I'm
It's like there's, I'll go ahead.
I'm of the mindset that I think that corporations should use anything in their power to hold up and just try to be like a better for society and stuff. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I think my whole thing, right, is I think every single person matters, and I think it's everyone's job to help preserve everyone's like rights and stuff. Corporations are not exempt from that, and they should spend their time and money helping people out.
Right. It's like, see, the thing with that is that then what if their idea of like, oh, the, holding up society is then different? It's like, you got, what was it, like Goya Beans, the My Pillow guy,
Yeah.
who supports, other, like,
Right.
everybody has a kind of thing. It's like, for me, it's like, like, all right, like, Disney, you want, it's like, you want to do stuff, that's fine. But then you have to allow other things in there. Like, another big thing going on right now on Twitter is the New Deal for animation.
Right. Oh my gosh,
Have,
that I'm hoping that this gets better, because like, it's
yeah.
so ridiculous in the world. And sorry that this is gonna be a pivot in the conversation now.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
It's so ridiculous how the world treats animation as so much less than live action. Like, every official like film thing out there does, like the Oscars is especially like prone to just treating animation like crap. But like, past that, I I just think, I think animation should be treated equally. I'm assuming you're in the same boat.
Absolutely. I feel like, there's this grave inequity between people who work in animation, like, and, you have like obviously people who, do the actual animation, but you also have voice actors, which, don't get the same kind of acclaim, the same pay, the glitz and glamour of, like, you know, I don't know who's big into the conversation right now. Will Smith.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's like, they,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's a shame because honestly, a lot of animated stuff I feel like is better than a lot of the live action stuff coming out.
I agree with that full
You know.
heartedly. My favorite movie of all time is the animated film The Mitchells versus the Machines.
Oh, that was very good. That was a very, very good
I
one.
literally bought the art book of it recently because I like the movie that much. And it's a lovely thing to have. I haven't bought an art book before, but like, oh my gosh, no, that movie, as a film major, that movie like hit very hard.
Right. It's like, yeah, that would definitely, it's like, and it just has so much going on. Like, I loved like the personal conflicts there because you can kind of see how,
Yes.
like, Katie, like, she has this big dream. She wants to go do this. And she is expressing herself, but her father doesn't fully understand. And, and she has a hard time connecting with
Mm-hmm.
him for that. And, but there's also the parallel conflict where he wants to connect with her, but he doesn't know how. And in a sense, she's kind of like, oh, well, I guess it's too late now. And so, like, she's kind of starting to brush off his, his fumbling attempts. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like they have to learn to meet in the middle, where like, she learns to appreciate him more, and he learns to kind of approach her on her own terms. And I think that was a very good way of building that conflict. I really liked how that was written. Um, yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal. Like I it was like like tied for my first place in this last year's animation best animated feature Oscar.
What was your other one that it was tied with?
Flea, actually.
I need to see Flea still.
Flea was very good. And I really liked how I really liked how that was done. I liked seeing um it was interesting how like the animation style for the most part is fairly grounded, but then in like there are these big moments like where these big emotions are coming out, like heightened moments of fear, and the
Right.
animation starts to become more stylized to fit that. And also just in terms of, what it kind of revealed, and it shows how, this person, how how what he went through still affects him today, how he interacts with people today, how it affected, you know, how he built relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like, and I think I also wanted that one just because I felt like, people always say that animation isn't just for kids. But I feel like not a lot of attention then goes to the animated features that do come out that are targeted more towards an adult
Oh,
audience.
absolutely.
So
There's
like I was like, I wanted that. So I was like, I wanted Flea more for like the symbolic value of that. I feel like Mitchell's did do more to kind of push the medium forward. So like I would have been happy with either one of those. Um and Encanto was alright, but it's just like again, like I would feel happier for Encanto winning if I thought that it won it on its actual merits and not just because, oh, this is the Disney movie that came out, therefore we will give it to them.
Well, I honestly feel like as much as like I feel like 2021 was a really good year for animated film between what the ones that we got. Like I've seen four of the ones that are qualified of the five. The three, like, I love Luca, I love Encanto, I love Mitchell vs. Machines. Haven't seen Flea. Raya exists. Um,
That's the best way to describe Raya.
I
Um,
I have it as a 7 out of 10 in my letterbox, but I know that if I watch that again, it's going down because I've just there's those movies where after you finish it, you're like, yeah, I solidly liked that, and then the next week after, it's like, oh, I watched that, and that
I
is Raya.
know. And it's like, yeah, like for me, like I didn't even have that kind of like honeymoon period.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, because when I came to theaters, that was about like March or so last year, and um, I don't know if I should get into. I guess we've already kind of dipped into slightly political things, but I don't want to get too much into that.
I mean, politics is
Well,
on the
like,
table here if you want to talk about it.
all right, so last year, and I'm just gonna say, the president tried to murder the Congress on January 6th.
Yep. No, they did.
Yeah, like that absolutely happened, and then like nothing, and when I saw Riot, the day like the hour or so before I saw Riot, I remember sitting down, I was reading the news and saying like, oh, they're not going to press charges against Congress members who had been like giving tours to the people who were leading this riot, showing them, yes, this is where we hide, this is where all the stuff does,
Oh my gosh.
and they're just like, oh, we're not going to do anything about that. And so then sitting down to a movie whose message is you got to trust people and forgive them even when they've done nothing to deserve that forgiveness.
Right.
I was not in the mood for that kind of message, as you can probably imagine.
It's Dude, 2021 was like one of the weirdest years ever. Um We're just in the weirdest timeline. Like, I think like even 2 years ago, if we were thinking about this is where we'd be in 2022, and I think that we'd be like, what happened?
I know. It's just like, oh my god. It's at least it's things. At least I would say like they were feeling like they're calming down, but now like you know,
It's
right?
it's a
Yeah,
crazy time we're living in, and there's like no way around. There's no way that we have really like around that, and that's so crazy to me because like I just it's like I just think like 2 years ago around this time, like when so to put this in perspective, I was a senior in high school when the pandemic hit. So I've never been in college without the pandemic, and then so for my last semester of high school, the chapter ending experience, it was like, yeah, you can stay home the whole time. And so it was weird because I lived in my room basically for like 3 months with it because like we're not seeing anyone. That summer got better, but like oh my gosh, I just can't believe where we were.
I know. It was like, it's just, yeah, it was like I remember I saw in the your previous episode actually you were talking about that. I think.
Was it episode
Uh,
4? I forget. All my topics kind of blend together eventually.
yeah, I think it was episode 4.
Yeah, the one with Ethan. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, like for me, it was so weird because like basically, long story short, as the hotel was being built,
Hmm.
I managed to land a job washing dishes at the local university,
Well.
and that was probably the best job I could have gotten in the pandemic. Um,
Yeah. Or wait,
yeah.
because all the college students were vacated from there, probably, right? Or
All the college students except international students because the borders
right.
were closed. So like they were just kind of stuck there in the country. And so we had to kind of keep things up. We were making food for them because they didn't have anywhere else to go.
It's
And
it's crazy for me about the fact that we just that how much has just changed within the years. Like at my college still, and thank goodness, because like my states that I have been in for my life are some of the better states at handling things. I've Maine, Vermont, and then like upstate New York have all been rather chill from what I've been to them at places of. And at least when I was in New York, I was kind of like quarantined to a small summer camp there. Small summer camp of like 500 kids who pay way too much to go there. But like, I love that job though. It's the best job I've ever had. Um, but just it's so it's bizarre to think. It's bizarre for me to think about that this has just all been within the same 2 years.
I know it's just like there's it's like the world is like much radically different now, and
Oh yeah,
but you know what makes it feel better?
animation and movies.
Cartoons, yeah,
Whoa,
baby.
let's go! So, what is your personal favorite animated film like of all time?
My personal favorite, I would say probably like right off the bat. It's kind. I have a couple, and it kind of switches between those.
Understandable. Wait, do you have Letterboxd?
I have Letterbox, yeah.
I have Letterboxd too, so
Oh yeah.
that's I know that you're pretty cool, you know.
Real quick, what's your Letterbox? I'll follow you right now.
Hang on, let me see if I can follow you first. I'm assuming it's just your name, or
Yeah,
yep.
Daniel.
Okay, I got you. Boom.
All right.
Wait, why did you watch the Pinocchio movie? You poor soul.
It was terrible. It was like none of Polly Shore's readings fit. The animation was just outright broken at times. The story was so bad. I didn't have a clue what was happening, and it was all kind of amazing.
Yeah, no, I literally the first thing that I think when I went to your profile, right? Like I see that and I'm like, oh no, what did you do? um, it's
But
gosh, I've seen all the trailers. Like it's kind of like a dumpster fire that you can't. Or it's kind of like a fire that you can't look away from the trailers and stuff. Because it's like, is
exactly.
this how you're marketing slash handling your movie, sir? Sir, this is 2020 or
Yeah,
2022.
I mean, it worked. I watched it, and people are talking about it.
It's it's funny for me because I feel like every single year we get one of these like animated. The description that I'm gonna go with for it, and this might be a weird description, but I'm calling them in my mind animated pariah films, which is like I feel like we've been getting every year or so an animated film, or not actually like through 2020 and 2021 exactly, but there's been at least like one animated film that is like so bad that like everyone's talked about it. Like 2017, we had the Emoji Movie, which no one likes. Um, I don't know if you've
Right.
had the misfortune of seeing that, but
I saw that opening day. I saw that
what?
opening day because I
Are you
so
okay?
do I sound like a man that's okay?
I don't know. I
Um, but because well, the reason I saw it was that I was working when I was in school there. I wrote for the school newspaper, and I would review movies, and I was kind of the animation specialist, so to say.
gotcha.
Yeah. Now, for me to consider myself an animation specialist, circa age 20 or so, was a a bit of a leap on my part. And I feel like, there's things that I feel like with more perspective that I have now, I would have said things differently. But it did give me a chance to explore more things, um, opened different opportunities for me to see stuff that I would have otherwise not been able to see.
Mm-hmm. No, that's
Yeah,
absolutely understandable.
yeah, I was like, but also meant that I would go see like every animated movie that came out,
That's
every animated movie.
that is madness. I've been on the grind of like watching a lot of the ones that have been releasing that as of late. Like I like last year the films that I watched, I haven't seen like Boss Baby 2 or anything yet, but which but I've seen a lot of the animated films that came out that year. I including the really bad Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie that I made.
Oh
I
no,
watched
yeah.
that. Um, that's in my bottom five of the entire year. I watched Ryan the Last Dragon, Luca, Kanto, Mitchell vs. the Machines. I watched 22 movies from last year, which is actually a pretty good number, I think.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Um,
like,
you go.
have you seen Belle?
I need to. I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, it's like Belle. It's like it's very it it has like some stuff in there where I feel like it could have been stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's not like a flawless movie, but I think where it's good, it's excellent. It's very I don't know, like the overall shape of the story flows well enough that I was really compelled by the end of it. It was very, very good.
See, I'm of the stance that I don't think there's such thing ever as like a perfect movie. Um, I think like
Oh, you've
even if
never
it's
seen Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse then. Haha.
I've heard good things about that one, but I need to see it still. Like even in my favorite movies, it's like there's things, but like I like stuff that's good. Like I go into a movie genuinely wanting to like it, and frequently, either that or for completion's sake. One of my claims to fame is I reviewed it and watched every single Ice Age film, uh, including the Buck
Oh,
Wild spinoff.
oh, well, why would you do that? Why
Complete,
would you do the Buck
complete,
Wild spinoff?
completionist sake, genuinely like. watching it. It's currently got the spot of the worst film of the entire year, so.
Oh no. Yeah, like I can imagine.
Like, I like to watch things just so I can say, "Hey, I've watched that," because I think it's always it's just a funny thing to be able to tell someone when they're not expecting it. And it was a fun thing. I did doing the Ice Age thing. Was an exciting experience. For YouTube and that's the video where it's like. I feel like so you make YouTube videos, so I feel like are you that kind of person where like when you release like a video and stuff, it's like you usually like you get those like spikes early and then they start to peter off. But no, the Ice Age one's been going solid. It's got in the last month it's had like 69 views, which nice. But like
Oh my god.
it's outperformed videos that I released this month, so but
Yeah, that's good. It's like, yeah, for me, my most popular one is actually one that's not animated focused.
ooh,
Um,
what film?
it's Pan's Labyrinth.
I didn't see that. Guillermo del Toro, right?
Guillermo del Toro, yes. Oh my gosh, I think it's still on Netflix. Let me check.
I'll have to put that onto my watch list of some kind. I've got like an infinite watch list. Film school shows you a lot of movies, but at the same time, it's like not all the movies are the ones that I want to see at that moment, and I just think watching movies is a lot of fun.
Absolutely, it's oh man. Okay, so Pan's Labyrinth is not on Netflix anymore. It was for like years. That makes me
Um,
sad.
I think
Um,
Netflix in general is it's kind of sad how much stuff like vanishes from the website all the time.
yeah, it's like, and I feel like they're trying to pivot more towards original content. Problem is that like 95% of that original content is not great.
I yeah, no, I can agree with that take. I I th- I think we're gonna get like I think we're in such a weird world with streaming services, and now like every single streaming service wants to make their own like movies and stuff, which is really cool for seeing like new content and stuff. But also a lot of the companies are like just going straight for the nostalgic minds. That being said, I've been surprised by shows that I've seen recently. Like my one show that I checked out because like no one else was checking it out, and I was like, let's see how they did. I've been watching the rebooted Fairly Odd Parents show that they made for Paramount Plus.
Oh, I saw a clip of that.
You
I
ready? I've got a big hot take on the show though.
What's that?
I think it's actually pretty good, which is really like the animation is garbage, but like past that, I've been talking with a friend of mine on Twitter and stuff. But like the writing is actually like way sharper than it has any right to be. Moment of silence.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I saw that one clip going on, like I think it was like the introduction and like showed like and oh my gosh, the animation on it was just so weird.
Oh, the animation. So okay, the way that I describe it is the animation of the fairies in the real world. Actually, I think it doesn't get better, but you get used to it, which helps. And I think that the human characters are actually like pretty chill so far, and there's just a lot of chemistry in the cast. And I'm like the only person I know who's like, or one of the only people that I know who's like gonna defend that show. But like, I'm working on a video about that at some point because I'm slowly making my way through the show. Like, I can't watch too much of it at one point. It's a solid 7 out of 10 though, and I've found myself laughing at that show more than I have in a lot of shows. And I don't know if that says more about me and having low standards, or the show being like just better than it has any right to be. But like, as someone who likes cartoonish sitcoms and stuff, I think it's far better than it could have been. Like, I was expecting it to be way worse. Like, that trailer was so bad.
That trailer, like I saw it and I was like, I didn't think it was real. I thought it was like some kind of YouTube parody, and then people were like, no, it's real. It's like, no. No.
I and that is such a valid way to think about that, because I think trailers and stuff are so important nowadays to movies, because the social media perception of a movie has tainted so many movies that are like good and stuff. Or for this show, it's like you hear a reboot of the show that went on for too long as is, and you're expecting something like bad, but the way that I describe it is I've been solidly impressed and and sold to continue the show, which I'm like 7 episodes into it, which just
Really?
uh,
Wow. It's like,
it's one of the I know it's one of the biggest hot takes I've ever had on a show, because like I went into it expecting to hate it.
oh yeah, but when it comes down to this, sometimes that stuff happens. Like, now, I don't know if this is going to be much of a hot take because I know it's not really. I guess it's not as hot anymore because this is like 6 months old news. But I actually was like kind of curious about that like Camp Coral SpongeBob thing.
Yeah,
So I watched it, and like each episode I got a good laugh. So I was like, yeah, not
I
too bad, not too shabby.
now that's a show where I look at it and like I was like, oh my gosh, the animation quality in this looks so like ugly with the CGI and the colors and stuff. And I honestly will admit that I probably need to give it a solid shot at some point, because because every show deserves like a more of a chance and stuff. And I believe that you can even rewatch like a bad show and see if it can get better or something.
Yeah, and definitely I'll give you that. Like, the animation's not the best. Um, and probably, it seems like there was probably not a lot of time or budget.
Yeah.
And I was like, whenever I can, and this is something that I've always tried to follow. Um, I always don't blame the animator.
Oh no. I
Because there's so
Usually
many.
it's some studio person who's being a little wicked behind the scenes.
Exactly. They're like, I was like, hey, well, we'd be happy to animate this and make it look good. I'll take about, I don't know too much about it. It's like, I was like, oh, it'll take, it's like 3 hours or so. And they're like, no, you got 1 hour, do it. We
Well,
got to get that release.
and the way that I think about it too and stuff, right, is whenever you're like making a film, it's you're trying to work around some kind of a budget or some kind of rules of whatever you're working on. And there's always someone who's like over your head trying to make sure things work, because like we're in a system where like everyone like works on each where like everyone wants something from each other, and that's just how that world of film works.
Right. It's like, and that is, that's sadly true. It's like, with with our system that we have right now. No.
Yeah. No, oh, sorry for the yawn. I'm not tired. Don't worry.
No.
It's just a casual yawn, you know.
Yeah.
I think we're working from an era where social media social media, in my opinion, like just paints people's perceptions of like everything. Like, one movie that got so much backlash that was not deserved was all the turning red backlash on Twitter was insane, and I hate that happened.
Yeah, that was such a bizarre thing because like people were just like, oh my god, the movie's cringe, and it's like, my dude, you've not seen it yet.
Well,
Like, and the things that even with a lot of trailers, like, I don't know if you remember, like How to Train Your Dragon, especially
yeah,
specifically How to Train Your Dragon 1, very very good movie,
yeah.
right? If you see the trailer for that, you go back and you see the trailer for that movie, it was a really bad trailer.
I actually haven't seen the trailer for that in like years, probably, because I haven't thought about the How to Train Your Dragon franchise since I saw like Hidden World in theaters, and that's a film trilogy where I'm really curious where my thoughts would lie on it, because I like, for one, I don't really like the side characters in How to Train Your Dragon much at all. I think that they're frustrating. I want to go through and like eventually revisit though like the Kung Fu Panda trilogy and the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy because yeah, DreamWorks just has a lot of really good films.
Yeah, it's like, and that's the thing. It's like I feel like I honestly feel like, in absolute terms, they've turned out the same number of really good animated movies as Pixar has. You know, like they got Kung Fu Panda, they got How to Train Your Dragon, they got Megamind, they got all kinds of great stuff. The problem is that the way that Katzenberg was running them, they would have like a really good movie, and then they would have
Shark Tale,
I don't yeah, like they would have like Home, or they would have
Turbo.
Turbo. Yeah,
I
Turbo. Oh my God,
haven't seen Turbo in a while, but my dad owns it on Blu-ray in my house because I was a kid growing up at that time and like did films, and he bought just a bunch of movies at the store. Um, so we own Turbo for some reason. Um, but like that was a movie and a half where it's just like why, but like on that point about DreamWorks' quality, I think DreamWorks is actually like I think it's DreamWorks and Pixar who are like the two more studios. But unfortunately, I think that DreamWorks has for a little while now. I think it's actually starts with the Boss Baby and stuff. Been on a really low streak where they've just been out of the cultural relevance. And my thesis, right, is if they don't get a good head start on these next few films that they're doing, Bad Guys and Puss in Boots, too, then we're gonna be in for DreamWorks. I think moving to TV only at some point, because if Universal cuts an animation studio, they're not cutting Illumination.
right. You know, it's well, like ideally, both of them would be able to like go out there and everything. But I definitely and I feel like now that they've been sold off to Universal and everything,
Right.
I'm hoping that we'll start to see kind of an uptick in things. 'Cause I'm excited for Bad Guys. I think that looks like a really good movie. I actually have my boyfriend. He's in Qatar right now. Actually, he's a flight attendant on Qatar Airways.
Nice.
He saw it. He said it was good.
Um, I I've heard good things from like people who have seen it, and the animation looks really good on it. I think DreamWorks is heading in the right direction, but like I think DreamWorks' peak era, right, was like 2010 was like the single best year for like DreamWorks films. They released Megamind, How to Train Your Dragon, and Shrek Forever After all in one year, which is or like I haven't seen How to Train Your Dragon, but like Shrek Forever After is my personal favorite Shrek movie, which is a big hot take, but like I think it's less like in culture compared to two, and that's one thing that I like about it.
Yeah, it's like it's definitely that was a good one. Megamind is really good. Like I
It's
think Megamind
fantastic.
has actually gotten better with age. Like
Oh yeah,
I think Megamind um reads better in our now superhero saturated culture.
oh yeah. No, I think Megamind's the definition of a movie that was like ahead of its time, and it's like
Yeah.
seeing another audience and stuff. I'm tempted at some point to go through a challenge where I just go through all the DreamWorks movies. I at the start of the pandemic, I did a challenge for the Pixar films.
Okay.
Um
So like what kind of challenge? Just like
I
watching
watched
all of them?
I've watched every single Pixar film because of that challenge. My Pixar ranked list is unique because my favorite film's Coco of theirs. I think Coco is an absolute masterpiece.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
My top five are Coco, Soul, The Incredibles, Turning Red, and Wally. And I'm in the camp that Pixar's in the best era that they've ever been in lately.
Yeah, it's like I think definitely starting with Luca is I think they're going in the right direction. Like I think it'll take a few years to kind of be like, oh, like want to make sure that they are really got it. But I feel like we're starting to see more movies from them that are more unique and more personal. And
So,
I really liked Luca actually for one particular reason. And the
mhm.
reason is that I feel like it was the first Pixar film in a long time that didn't feel like it was trying to make you cry. Like um a lot of the stuff from the last decade. Like you have Inside Out, you have, a lot of good stuff there. But it always feels like there's that scene where it's like, okay, this is the scene where you are now going to cry.
Mhm.
It's like because they kind of built that reputation for themselves.
Right.
And in the earlier films, you have like those emotional moments, but there's never that, okay, now you cry scene. It always felt like a bit more natural, so to say. Luca feels like a bit of a departure for the studio. It feels like not fully a Pixar film, which I think is a good direction for them to go in.
Oh yeah, I think that both Luca and Turning Red had a lot of Ghibli energy.
Yeah, it's like had a very yeah, definitely there was, especially in the animation, you have like more expressiveness of that kind of thing. Like you have ironically there it looks like a 3D Studio Ghibli movie more than the actual 3D Studio Ghibli movie Earwig.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Did you see Earwig?
I have not yet.
First of all, don't. it's that was one of back when I was trying to do shorter reviews. This was before the hotel opened, so I had like so much more free time on my hands. I did like a short review because like everybody was talking about how terrible Earwig and the Witch was, and I watched it, and it is terrible. And so I just like put out like a short video about it. I was like, yeah, it's bad. Um, and then it's become my most disliked video.
Oh.
Apparently, it's one of my most popular, but also my most disliked. Apparently, I have drawn the ire of the Earwig and the Witch fandom.
That's a fandom?
I guess it's a
Well,
fandom
oh, wait,
because a lot of
everything's a
people,
fandom, but
like a lot of people, were like coming at me. It's like, oh, because they're like, you shouldn't tell people not to watch it. Yeah, you should let them draw their own conclusions. And it's like, I'm not forcing people to not watch, and I'm just telling people I had a terrible time. I have another film friend, and he's like, he told me like he started it and he could not finish it. He couldn't finish it. Um,
I rarely don't finish films, but I rarely like start films that I think I'm not gonna finish. I was in the middle before we called, right? I was watching Sing 2 for the first time, and I like it so far. I'm partway through.
yeah, it's like you want my one of a hot take from me.
Hmm.
You gave me an animation hot take. I'll give you one. I think Illumination isn't that bad.
Oh, I'm with you there. I think I
Yeah.
I don't think they're inherently bad studio. I will say that I frequently wind up I frequently just think they get a bad rap and stuff, and they have made like a few of the worst animated films of the last few decades. Like I hate The Grinch with a passion.
Yeah, it's just like definitely they. I'm not gonna say like the a lot of their stuff is particularly great. Like Secret Life of Pets is just kind of really boring. I don't remember anything from it. Um, the Lorax inspired a reign of terror on Tumblr. Um, there was but like like the Sing movies. It's like I saw Sing 2, and I just was watching. I was like, oh, that's kind of a cute joke there. Oh, that's kind of a fun moment. It's like it's yeah. And the thing is that part of that comes from because people are like, oh, it's like the worst thing I've ever seen. And it's like, buddy, I sat through Norm of the North.
Hmm.
I I've sat through all four Norm of the North.
Oh wait, why? No.
I am a Norm of the North lore master.
Why is there so many of those in the animation community?
Tax evasion.
Okay.
I'm
Lovely.
not. I'm not kidding. Like, like the whole like tax thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's. Yeah, I literally think it's just. Yeah, Lionsgate is like, we had a bad year. Quickly, spit out another Norm movie. And I will say they get very slightly less bad.
That's
In the
that's
third and
impressive.
fourth one.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like
I just don't know
um
why 4 Norm of the North movies. Like, Lionsgate, you
yeah,
good?
and the fifth one is confirmed.
No, I don't believe that.
Well, they said they're making a fifth one. It's been a while though, so maybe they're just not doing it. Um, but yeah, it's so yeah, like compared to like Norm of the North, compared to that kind of stuff, Sing 2 is not nearly that bad.
Norm of the North is on my list, by the way, if I ever do the Pariah films, where it's like just a bunch of hated films ends.
Yeah, it's just like yeah, it's just it's real funny. But
So,
yeah, it's like so yeah, like I feel like and I feel like just like in general, CG animation had such like a bad rap, and yeah, I feel like more people now are like, oh no, it's good because like of Spider Verse and everything. Um, and I like to say that I am on the record as
okay.
early as like 2016, 2017 of going out there and saying no, computer animation can be as just as good as like hand drawn traditional animation.
I agree.
And because the things that people are like comparing it to, like, oh, like you look at like this other stuff like Studio Ghibli's, even like during the Disney Renaissance, what they were doing there, some stunning stuff. And thing is that came at the end, like, now that was after 40, 50 years of more than that, even, of developing this medium with
Right.
computer animation. Get
Your audio is glitching, by the way. Huh? Yeah, you sound like Wally or Eva. Yeah. Um, tell you. Can you try speaking again now? Yep. Nope. You are a robot. I feed. Tell you what. Hang on. Um, we'll be right back shortly, guys. It's not gonna be edited, but yeah. Do Phineas alone because the guest has. Hi.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, and by the way, we're gonna start wrapping up soon. If we so, what do you want the final topic to be?
Final topic. I guess it's like when it comes to animation,
Mm-hmm.
I guess like one thing I really want people to take away is that a lot of people, they say they want hand drawn animation back. They
Right.
want more adult animated movies. The thing is, those movies are coming out, but people aren't seeing them.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, if you were to ask me my favorite animation studio, I would name a distributor, actually. And that distributor would be G Kids.
Let me look them up.
Yeah, like they have, well, first of all, they have the distribution rights for all the Studio Ghibli movies.
Gotcha.
But also they put out things from studios all over the world, like smaller animation studios. And they have really unique offerings. Like if you look up My Life as a Zucchini.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, that was a French, and that was distributed through them. Belle, I mentioned that earlier. That was distributed through them. you have Funin, which was a hand-drawn movie about uh, about this woman trying to get her family through the Cambodian genocide, the Khmer Rouge.
Yeah.
So like these movies, like if you want a mature animated movie, that exists. Those are coming out. And kind of like circling back to what I was saying before, with corporations, their only job is to make money. And so,
Unfortunately.
and yeah, which is, so, so trying to be like, hey, you should do this isn't going to tell them anything because they only listen to the dollars. If they see that these movies are making money, then they'll start experimenting in that direction.
Yeah.
It's and that's the thing. It's like people have to, in a sense, put if they want more diverse animated projects, then they have to put their money where their mouth is.
Right.
Because these things are out there. And there's some really beautiful stuff out there. There's some really heart-wrenching things.
I agree.
And we shouldn't wait for and again, it's nice that Pixar is starting to kind of go in a direction where it feels like they're taking some slightly more risks. They're telling more personal stories. But if you want something really out there, take a look and see what's beyond the Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks bubble.
I think that's a really great way to look at it. Honestly, there's so much out there. And on that note, I just want to say thank you again for being my very special guest this week.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
I'll definitely you'd be welcome back on the show at some point in the future.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Oh gosh, now my voice is going now.
No. We see. This is a tragedy. You've lost your voice in this episode. But anyways, for everyone who's listening, by the way, I have to do some shameless self plugging right now. Unfortunately, I have a Discord server, guys. Woo!
Ooh.
Yeah. If you guys go to my YouTube channel and join the Phineas cage, you can talk with me, and a bunch of my guests are chilling the server and stuff too. So you can talk to them probably if they're up for it. And I hope you guys are all having a lovely rest of your days. Daniel, seriously, thank you for coming on, and it's been a great show.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure being here, and yeah, you take care.
Thank you, and I am gonna be now stopping recording.